Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm here to talk a bit about satellites. My team and I, we left NASA to start this company, Planet, about 7 years ago, with a mission of using our space geekery talents to help the goals of the world. And the simple summary is that you can't fix what you can't see. And we wanted to go about having more regular updated imagery of the planet, not every year or every few years, but every day. So we set ourselves this mission to image the entire Earth's landmass every day and make that data visible, accessible, and actionable. Really taking not just data that helps us be aware of how we're changing the planet, but to take action to take care of the planet. And we've done this by launching 25 rockets with over 300 satellites into orbit. Now we are generating over 1 million images of the Earth each day. And we build a ground station network all around the world. It's taken rocket launches like this that sent our satellites into space.
Last 25 seconds.
That one's an Indian rocket, the PSLV. We have launched our satellites on rockets from all over the world. These are satellites deploying from the back of the rocket, and then they spread themselves out around the orbit of the Earth. Our satellites are much smaller than the normal satellites. The satellite there on your left is the Landsat satellite. It cost over $800 million for one satellite. It's the size of a bus, and it takes a whole rocket to launch. And our satellites are about this big. They weigh 4 kilograms, and we've stuffed the latest and greatest technology into them so that they can perform most of the same capabilities of these larger satellites, but we can launch many more of them. And this is how it works. So all of our satellites actually are in a polar orbit, all in a string around the pole of the Earth. Each one takes a strip of images as it's going around the Earth. It's just snap, snap, snap. But then, by the time the next one comes down, the Earth has rotated conveniently underneath it, so that all the satellites together end up scanning the whole Earth every day. So we've actually got a constellation of over 150 satellites, including a medium-resolution fleet that scans the scanning. Plus, we recently bought Google's satellite arm called SkySats. So we now have 15 higher-resolution satellites that can zoom in. So the medium-resolution imagery looks like this. This is San Francisco, where our home base is and where we build and operate these satellites. And you can see roads, you can see buildings, you can see ships, you can see planes, but you can't see a person. This is not getting into personal privacy. You can't see or read someone's newspaper. This is about a wide-scale surveillance system that helps us to understand the changing planet. The important thing is we do this across the entire world every day. So if somebody erects a new building, we can see it. If somebody erects a new road, or if someone takes down a tree, we can see it. And importantly, we have 800 images now of all of the Earth's surface, documenting that change over time. In the other high-resolution satellites can take video as well. And this is a video of here a few days ago. And you can see the cars going along the road here as we zoom over this venue. And we can't do that for the whole world all the time, but we can do that of select targets as we choose. This data has a wide variety of applications, from monitoring security of borders and shipping, to forest management, to improving our maps, to helping agricultural productivity, to business and finance, and civil government with disaster response. So we spend a lot of time working with emergency response agencies in response to fires, earthquakes, tsunamis, and so forth. And the important thing is that you can't fix what you can't see. And we're entering a truth economy. And I really hope that we can switch the news cycle towards a truth one based on the facts of what's going on from space, because the pictures don't lie. And it leads us towards a transparent planet, of what we're doing over time. And that's really important for a couple of reasons. Because we're destroying all the species on the planet at a rate 22 times higher than the norm since 1900, and we have to feed a lot more people, and we have to manage all the water systems. This is not just an academic issue. Helping us to stop climate change is of moral and intellectual import. Our data is very useful for tracking what's happening in refugee camps and other humanitarian crises, for tracking the deforestation that happens around the world on a regular basis. And more broadly, we can help with the Sustainable Development Goals. We've estimated that we can help with 12 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It's important to measure each one of these to be able to take action. I'm going to give you a few examples. On poverty, we can track the development of refugee camps. On feeding and ending hunger, we can actually tell the level of crop and health of each crop on a pixel-by-pixel basis for all of the crop fields of the entire world, and that represents 26% of the land area of the Earth. And we can tell crop type and crop yield and help the farmer improve the efficiency of the crops. We can also monitor all the water levels of all the world's reservoirs. So this is one day, and this is a few days later, and you can see that the reservoir level drops over time. If I just go back and forth, you can see the reservoir drop. And similarly, so that's about clean water. Similarly, for tracking deforestation. It's not just about detecting each tree go down and preventing that. It is also about quantifying the carbon stocks over time, as we see the tremendous destruction of our rainforests and other forested areas. Importantly, a lot of deforestation, about 40% of it happens on a single tree level, not wide areas like this, but individual trees. And we can tell if one tree goes down. We are also helping to map the corals from space. So the corals are undergoing an onslaught right now. A lot of the corals are already gone, and in the next 20 years, the rest will be gone unless we do something about it. And so we teamed up with the Allen Institute, as well as the Carnegie Institute of Science, to map all the world's corals in high definition for the first time. And to map them every single day to check if there's illegal fishing or ocean trawling or other methods of destruction of these, or detect early the signs of the bleaching of these corals. I mentioned before a disaster response, so that of course helps us with life on the land and tracking the fires, not just the fires when they're happening, but also the fodder for fires. Flooding of internally displaced persons, the growth of refugee camps. And so next I'm going to tell you, so we can use this satellite data to help many aspects of the global goals. But I want to tell you where it's going next, because it's even more exciting in some ways. Where it's going next is really the advent of AI hitting this data. So we now have a massive data set of all this, of imagery of what's going on the planet. And what we're doing is adding artificial intelligence to distinguish between different objects in that imagery and index what's on the Earth over time. So Google spent a lot of effort indexing what's on the web and making it searchable. Essentially, we are indexing what's on the Earth and making it searchable. By looking at each picture and saying, hey, this is a ship, this is a tree, this is a road, this is a building, this is a plane, or what have you, we can then build up a database of where everything is on the planet over time that you can then just search. Instead of saying, looking at all the images for ships, you could just say, hey, give me this, this port, and just tell me how many ships there are in that port, and tell me over time. Or just give me the ships between this length and that length over time. Or can you just tell me how many trees there are in the Amazon that were felled between this week and last week, and what was their latitude and longitude? That's the kind of information we can distinguish using the artificial intelligence applied to our data. So I believe the future is really bright of applying this data to a lot of the world's problems. Someone asked me the question really, recently, can satellite Earth observation data save the planet? And my answer was very simply yes. But that's not what matters. It's whether or not we're going to actually act on it. That's what matters. We have the information now that can help us with many of those Sustainable Development Goals. The question is, what will we do about it? And the action is up to us. And I want to invite you all to think about what you would do if you had daily imagery of the Earth, and think about how we can help you achieve your goals. We're helping many governments around the world already achieve both their national goals of how they understand how they're affecting the planet, and also how and supporting the UN and its bodies with measuring the Sustainable Development Goals. And so I'm extremely excited to work with anyone here, and thank you very much for listening.